challenge, but people are working on it. There are creative solutions being proposed. I am waiting, along with the student who asked the question, for some creative, positive, imaginative solutions from Professor Chomsky. All we're hearing is a recitation of the past and a pessimistic notion of as long as the evil American empire and Israel are involved, there will be no peace.
Let's go to
well,
the next
I congratulate Mr. Dershowitz again for one true statement. They are not Jewish roads, they're Israeli roads. That is, they are roads of the sovereign, what I'm quoting the High Court, the sovereign state of the Jewish people in Israel and the diaspora.
Oh, that's
correct.
That's like saying that British roads are roads of the sovereign Anglican people.
Fine.
I mean,
That's-
Britain is an Anglican country as well.
If we can have your
I
question,
agree
please.
to your qualification. There are Israeli roads, there are Israeli highways and Palestinian paths. If you want a creative solution, I mentioned one.
Let's go to the
I mentioned it. The
Please.
Geneva Accords, the Taba agreements, which Israel canceled. Yes,
I
those are creative
I
solutions.
accept the Taba agreements,
Professor
and
Dershowitz.
I
Then
think
you
that
should
many in
explain-
Israel
We're
do
gonna
as
focus
well.
on
You
this
should
next
explain to
question.
Mr. Paris why he
Please,
objected
we're
to
going to
them.
focus on this next question.
Hello?
You are.
Yes, hi. My name is Abraham Reisman. I'm a sophomore at the college. There's really a question for both of you, but I guess I'll ask Professor Chomsky just because Professor Dershowitz just spoke. It's sort of funny that we're all here, given that a lot of us have never been to Israel, never been to Palestine, and it's long been one of the sort of strange paradoxes in world politics that Americans and people the world over can get so enraged about either side when it's a conflict that many of us will never firsthand experience. Specifically, how would both of you like to see young people like me and a lot of us here envisioning the conflict in the future? Because a lot of us have a tendency to internalize it to a degree where it's not about people anymore, on both sides. There are people I know who are ardent Zionists who never go to Israel, who believe in it because they're very religiously Jewish, and all of a sudden it becomes detached from the realities on the ground. And there are people who are very pro-Palestinian who are strongly in favor of social justice and economic justice.
Okay, thank
I'm
you.
sorry. Yeah, how do you...
Professor Chomsky.
Well, my feeling is you should approach it as an American. And as for an American, it is one of the lead issues in the world. Israel is able to do these things, to dismantle and destroy the West Bank, to disintegrate the community, because the United States gives it massive aid, unparalleled in international affairs, not only military and economic, but also diplomatic, by, as I've mentioned, for the last 30 years, unilaterally blocking the two-state settlement, which Israel also totally rejected, alone, the two of them. And as long as you, the American taxpayer, goes on supporting this, yes, it'll continue. And it'll lead to exactly what the Bantustan-style solution that Ben-Veniste and others described, right on the ground. And yes, so therefore it's of enormous importance to Americans. As for a solution, it's pretty straightforward. They were coming close to a solution at Taba until Israel called it off. Negotiations continued, leading to several proposals, of which the most detailed were the Geneva Accords. You can find out what I thought about all of those in print. You can ask Mr. Dershowitz where he supported them in print. The Geneva Accords in December 2002 were accepted by essentially the whole world. Israel rejected them. The U.S. refused even to send a message to the Geneva meetings. But they're still potentially alive, and American citizens can compel our own government to reverse its program, to accept the international consensus for the first time, and then we'll be on the way to a solution.
Thank you.
Well,
Briefly, Professor Dershowitz.
I, too, have written about the Geneva Accords in Chapter 6 of my book, and I generally support many elements of the Geneva Accords. I do not support the right of return. That is, the idea that 700,000 or now 4 million Palestinians can demographically destroy Israel.
Which is rejected in the Geneva Accords.
It is not rejected in the Geneva Accords. It is not accepted or rejected. It is left for future negotiation.
Exactly.
And
it is left open because
it's easy how you change your view.
Already,
first it's accepted, then it's left open. What's your next position?
Let's be precise.
Okay.
They did not say anything about that because the Palestinians had already at Camp David and at Taba accepted the so-called pragmatic settlement, which would not affect the demographic character
That
of
is
Israel. If you want to learn about that,
simply
read
false.
the serious scholarship like Ron
That is
Pundak,
simply
head of the Shimon
false.
Peres Peace.
I can tell you that President Clinton told me directly and personally that what caused the failure of the Camp David-Taba Accords was the refusal of the Palestinians and Arafat to give up the right of return. That was the sticking point. It wasn't Jerusalem. It wasn't borders. It was the right of return.
Can we
Now,
get
if you
there?
believe that the United States has unilaterally rejected the two-state solution, that's what we heard from Professor Chomsky, that it's the United States that has rejected the two-state solution, when every modern American president has favored the two-step solution, I say, welcome to Planet Chomsky.
Now,
That's
now
just
we
you have
can
a
hold
simple,
there.
here's a simple exercise. You can believe one of two things: the extensive published diplomatic record, which I gave you a sample of, and you can find in detail in books of mine and others, or what Mr. Dershowitz says he heard from somebody.
No,
which you can't check.
and check
Okay.
the diplomatic record,
Professor Dershowitz,
check the maps,
sir, your question.
and read Dennis Ross's book, which contains appendices which have the
Okay.
diplomatic record. What Chomsky is telling you to do
right.
is read the available record in Esperanto. He constantly tells you to read sources he knows you can't read, because he knows